tend to be kinder and more accommodating in social situations, which you might think could to their social life. However, we've already noted that one downside of agreeableness is potentially lower earnings. We're not sure why this is so, but agreeable individuals may be less aggressive in negotiating, starting from salaries and pay raises. Yet there is clear evidence that agreeableness is something employers value. Several recent books argue in favor of leading with kindness, from Baker and O'Malley in 2008, and Capitalizing on Kindness from Tilquist 2008, and other articles in the business press have reviewed that sensitive agreeable CEOs such as Jeffrey Immelt and Wing James McNamee yields a shift in business culture from Brady in 2007. In their circles, individuals desiring success in their life carries are exhorted to be complementary, kind, and good. For example, from Schillinger 2007. Take the example from 500 employee Lindblad expeditions. It emphasizes agreeableness in its hiring decisions. The VP of HR commented, "You can teach people in technical skill, but you cannot teach them how to be a kind-hearted, generous person and with an open spirit."
So, while employers want agreeable employees are not a better job performers. They are likely not success in their career. We might explain this apparent contradiction by noting that employers value agreeable employees for other reasons. They are more pleasant to be around and they may help others in ways that aren't reflected in their job performance. Most evidence suggests that agreeable people like agreeable people, which you might expect because people like those who are similar to themselves. However, even disagreeable people like agreeable people. Perhaps because they are easier to manipulate than individuals who are lower in agreeableness. Perhaps everyone wants to hire agreeable people just because everyone likes to be around them. Moreover, a 2018 study of CEO and CEO candidates revealed that this contradiction applies to organizational leaders as well. Using ratings made by an executive search firm, researchers studied the personalities and abilities of 316 CEO candidates for companies involved in buyout and venture capital transactions. They found that what gets a CEO candidate hired is not what makes him or her effective. Specifically, CEO candidates were rated high on nice traits such as respecting others, developing others, and teamwork were more likely to be hired. However, these same characteristics, especially teamwork and respecting others for venture capital CEOs, made the organization they led less successful. The answer is yes, there is a contradiction. Agreeable employees are more flexible, pleasant, warm, and tolerant employees, while disagreeable employees are cold, aggressive, and reserved. Disagreeable employees might have far better ideas and have the nerve to push and insist them. Disagreeable employees tend to be more focused and engaged with their work, but they are cold, aggressive, and reserved. Agreeable employees provide cooperative working environment to better communication. There were some kind of job like doctors, customer service representative, nurses, social worker, and teacher, and so many more. Agreeableness is an important virtue. For example, a very annoyed customer came in and insulted the customer service representative. In that job situation, the It doesn't matter how much angry the employee is because of that customer insulting behavior. What matters is agreeableness, which is the basic personality trait required by the organization for this job. You have to agree on whatever customer says to ensure customer satisfaction. If the company was faced with intense competition or some employees made huge mistakes, agreeableness could be harmful. As the saying goes, mercy to enemy is cruelty to yourself. Everyone must take responsibility for what they do and there is no excuse for them.
Negative effects of the agreeableness on earnings are stronger for men than for women because men tend to be less agreeable by nature. For example, men demonstrate a greater amount of aggressiveness in negotiating starting salaries and pay raises. As a result, because men often have a bigger wages than women, the negative effects of agreeableness on earnings are stronger for men than for women because agreeableness cause men to lose a larger portion of their salary.
In a business life, personal space is very underestimated and even considered an unknown phenomenon. As a manager, work consists mainly of dealing with people. Recognizing personal space and the differences among people can improve every business's settings. Personal space is the space or territory valued around oneself in which others are not welcome. This space can be subdivided into several components, said Edward Hall, 1969. Divided personal space into 5 zones. First is the intimate zone, which range from 0 to 18 inch is only accessible for family and loved one. And the second is the closed personal zone, is the bubble that extend 1.5 to 2 feet from a person. Friends are allowed in this zone. And 3. The far personal zone extends 4 to 12 feet and encompasses some direct communication and some proximity. Fourth, the social zone extends 4 to 12 feet beyond the person. This personal space exists between individuals in normal business life or between new contacts. And the last is the public zone, is everything beyond the social zone. This area is consideration during public speaking.
As can be determined from housework, personal space differs based on the person and the type of communication. When dealing with more familiar people, family or friends, the bubble of personal space is smaller than when talking to new contacts or engaging in formal conversation. Personal space is determined by several factors. Personality traits such as extraversion or one key determinant. Gender also plays a role, and it has been found that men maintain a larger overall personal space. Culture also plays a dominant role. In daily life, most people, by nature, adapt to the personal space of other individuals. When adaptation is not done appropriately, body language can indicate the unease of the other individual. When crossing national borders, or sometimes even regions, the concept becomes more difficult to grasp. Even within countries that might look similar in terms of half-step model, significant differences appear. As the business world becomes increasingly international, the concept of personal space becomes more relevant. International managers who overlook subtle differences in personal space can encounter major hurdles. Consider, for example, a formal meeting between a Dutch and a Swedish subsidiary. The Dutch manager welcomes the foreign managers and embraces them. The body language of the Swedes says something is not right. The meeting continues, and all relevant business is discussed. However, both parties leave the meeting feeling misunderstood.
First of all, when comparing the values for Hofstede's model for Sweden and Netherlands, they seem alike. Therefore, we can conclude that these values only tell a small part of the story. Logically and generally speaking, the personal space of Swedish person seems to be bigger than for Dutch. The identification and acceptance of culture differences implying different sizes of personal space is the first step, and the second, communications should point out these differences and evoke mutual respect. Body language. Since more than 50% of a message is conveyed through body language, this is the best indicator. Look for defensive gestures like stepping away, crossing arms, or leg. Answers may vary. Most students have traveled for leisure purposes or for exchange period abroad and therefore have experiences with different culture and culture classes instructor.